Good afternoon. My name is Cole, and I am with the Kingdom of the Rising Winds, Grand Duchy of Ebonmarch. And today I am here to talk about the Scout Class 101. Like I said in my other videos, I'm not going into great detail about the class and the nuance and what to do in XYZ situation. It's just a grand overview of the class and gives you a little idea of what to do while playing it, and if you want to play the class at all. So, Scout in Amtgard. What is my personal opinion on Scout? I personally love Scout. It is a very, very versatile class in Amtgard. So, the Scout class is the proverbial jack of all trades in Amtgard. If you look at each class in Amtgard, of course, you don't have to be beholden to the exact thing of this class, but if you look at each class in Amtgard, they are the pinnacle of certain aspects of Amtgard. For example, Warrior is the pinnacle of the idea of wearing armor in Amtgard. You can have as much armor and the best type of armor in Amtgard with ancestral armor, stuff like that. Archer is the pinnacle of length of how far you can use a spell ball. Wizard is the spell ball class. You can have all the types of spell balls. Healer is the resurrection class. There are or control subdual, I should say. There are all different types of things that each class specializes in. But Scout gets to take a little bit of each one of those classes and a little bit of each idea from each of those classes and gets to use it as one, like I said, jack of all trades type of class. Yeah. So it is a great class, in my opinion, if you want to run solo. If you are in a large group, if it's a great class for pretty much any type of situation. So Scout, in my opinion, has a lot of survivability because you get a little bit of survivability that assassins get, because you get stuff like hold person, step in the shadows. You're good against magic casters because you still have like druids, for example, with enchantments and stuff like that, because you still have dispel magic. You have adaptive blessing. You have all these little abilities to get yourself out of magic situations, get yourself out of combat situations, to get yourself into these types of situations, especially with Scout being the one combat class that allows you to have so many enchantments on yourself. You can be very, very adaptive. Adaptive blessing, for example. You can be very adaptive to what that field situation is at that time, which is great. And then also on top of that, because the class allows you to have more armor than assassins and archers, it allows you to still wield a bow. It still allows you to wield a small shield. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this class. This class isn't necessarily, okay, I'm just this one archetype and I kind of stick to it. For example, like Warrior. Yes, you can be Florentine Warrior. You can be aggressive with it. You can be defensive with it. You can be frontline. You can be with a pole in the back line. Scout allows you to pretty much pick up any small things that your team is missing. The only issue with Scout, in my opinion, is the fact that because you're a jack of all trades, you're not the master of any one thing. So what I mean by that is, as a Scout, I can heal. Great. If our team needs a heal, great, I can heal real quick. I am not a healer. Great, I can pop off a dispel like a druid. Which is very disorienting when you're in, say, like a larger battle and you're fighting. All right, I know that caster can dispel me, that caster can dispel me, and I'm fighting the guy in the front line, and he pops off a dispel. Oh, is a Scout? Yes, he has 3 points of armor. He's going with a small shield, sword, or whatever, and then you can still dispel. You get a little bit of everything from each class. You still get heavy throwing weapons. So this class allows you to fluidly go between, say, front line, second line, third line. For example, me playing Scout, I will walk out there with a bow. I will still have a couple swords with me, maybe a small shield, maybe a couple heavy throwies, but I will walk out there with a bow first, stay in the back line on that third line, do a couple shots, survey what's going on, see what kind of magic they're heavy with. Say, oh, there's a wizard out there. He's casting a lot of fireball, stuff like that. A lot of fire-based stuff. Okay, let me get adaptive blessing against that. Okay, they're doing a lot of, ice ball, control, subdual, stuff like that. All right, let me get a little of that. And then I will go from the third line and I go up to the second line. All right, I got my heavy throwies, stuff like that. And then, okay, let me go up to front line fighting for a little bit. Okay, now I'm at front line. I still have 3 points of armor head to toe, which is a lot of armor in this game. Not necessarily you have to have, granted, I'd love having 6 points of armor if I can swing it or whatever, but 3 points of armor is still very good for this game. Most classes only get up to 2 points of armor. Later on, I'll have a one-on-one video for Bard. Maximum of two points of armor. That's still great, but 3 points is still better than that. So as a scout, you can step up to being a frontline fighter, 3 points of armor, a sword, and a shield, and still pop off a dispel on someone real quick. Still pop off a whole person on someone real quick. I can get down to, I'm only down to 1 point of armor now, and I'm getting rushed, step in the shadows. It's a really good class. It has a lot of survivability. The only real issue I see with this class is because it's a jack of all trades class, I don't recommend it for people who are new. I say that because, like I was saying in that example earlier, you kind of need to know what that field is doing to be more effective as a scout. I say that because if someone, like I said, if that field is doing a lot of subdual magic, if that field is doing a lot of a certain type of magic, you will have to kind of figure out what that is. And that's a little harder for new people to more or less understand what that is and how to adapt to it. There's also the mindset of knowing when to switch, from being that second line fighter to the front line fighter to third line. All right, maybe because I have 3 points of armor and a bow, but I also have weapons, and we have a lot of archers today. Maybe I should stick back with the archers in case they start getting rushed, and now I can step up as Florentine with 3 points of armor and protect that back line here. Oh, they're using a lot of assassins, they're going around the back, stuff like that. It's a harder class because you have to have battlefield awareness to really get a lot out of that class, and that's a little hard for new people. But pretty much that's everything I have for this class. Like I said, Scout is a great class. I highly recommend it. Sadly, I don't see enough people playing Scout, especially at larger events. But I think that's everything I have for today. Like I said, I've been Cole with the Kingdom of the Rising Winds, Grand Duchy of Ebonmarch, and keep fighting.